Executive producer Brian Herzog. Presents Bobby Clark. Education, current events, and topics that affect you.
Welcome to Let's Talk About It. We have a wonderful show for you today, something that all of us need, especially us parents with our children and for the students who are doing some of that work themselves. We have with us Gus Wells, who's the Director of Public Information and Communication, and he's with the Louisiana Office of Student Financial Assistance. Great to have you with us, Gus.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, yes. Okay, tell me about LOFSA.
Well, LOSFA is the Louisiana Office of Student Financial Assistance, as you said, and we administer the state college student financial assistance programs, scholarship and grant programs, including the TOPS program, which I'm sure everyone has heard of, the TOPS Tech program, the Go Grant need-based aid program, Rockefeller State Wildlife Scholarship, and a number of other scholarship and grant programs.
Wow, that's a lot of different scholarships.
It is. We want a lot of kids to go to school.
Oh, that sounds so great. I know most of them have heard of TOPS and may never have heard of the others. I was really impressed, Gus, to find that even students who are going to the technical colleges, if they could make a score, and we'll talk about what that score is, and that there's a scholarship for them also.
Absolutely. That's one of the things we try to stress is that when we say college, we mean education after high school. In many cases, there are many more job opportunities in technical fields, and we certainly have a need for students to enter those fields.
Well, that's very impressive, and we'll be getting into all of that. So we'll start off with possibly a history of LOSFA, and then we'll go on and talk about other areas. You want to get started?
Okay. LOSFA was created in the late 60s and has dealt with student financial assistance programs through the years. There have been some changes in the programs that were available. TOPS, actually the first year that TOPS was available to students was 1998, and so we've been focused very much on TOPS since that time. But again, we have the Start Saving program, which allows parents to save for their child's education from a younger age.
And what age is that they would start
as soon
saving?
As they're born. As soon as they have a birth certificate, they can open a start account for their child or grandchild. The state will contribute to their savings. Depending upon the parent's adjusted gross income, the state will contribute 2 to 14% of what the parents contribute every year.
And that's on an annual basis?
Yes, ma'am. That's absolutely.
Okay, so tell me, how do they get started? So the parents will know, how do they get started, and is there a minimal amount that they need to deposit? How does that work?
The minimum deposit is $10. They can get started very easily. They can go to our website, www.osfa.la.gov, and they can click on Start, and they can get all the information there. They can actually apply online, or they can have us, if they'd like, they can request that we send them some application materials, and they can do it through the mail.
Oh, that's a very good site. I mean, that's a good site, and that's something really good, because parents are always concerned about having enough money for their children to go to college.
Right.
And to think that the state will contribute, that
Right.
is pretty nice.
And jumping ahead to the current focus of LOSFA, of course, we are very focused on all scholarship and grant programs, but we have a fabulous new tool that we just introduced last year. It's a website called louisianaconnect.org, and it is a college access and career planning portal. It allows the students to do a multitude of things to help them prepare for their future. They can go in and create a profile. They can take preference tests to determine what career areas they're interested in. Then they can locate schools that offer that career curriculum. They can compare the cost of different schools that offer the program they would like to take. They can actually express interest on the portal in the schools, and if it's a Louisiana school, someone from that school can actually make contact with them and make them some individual offers.
Now, excuse me, but how long has this portal been available?
It's actually been available for about a year.
About a
And
year.
in that year, we've had over 127,000 students that activated accounts and have used it. And of course, we're still trying to enroll the rest of the students in the state with the assistance of their guidance counselors or their professional school counselors, as they prefer to be referred to.
Okay.
So we really are happy with the progress we've made. But once they do determine what career path they want to follow, they can also interact with the Louisiana Workforce Commission information on their Star Jobs site through the portal. They can make contact with individual employers. They can find information about different careers that are available in Louisiana, what the job market looks like in that career area for the immediate future. They can also seek out information on internships, summer employment, things of that nature.
So just breaking in, so you're saying that they can go up to the site and they can look at the availability of jobs so they can better assess if their major that they're looking for
That's
in
correct.
college is going to be relevant
Exactly.
to their
And
being
then-
able to get a job.
Correct. And they can also look at the cost of that education in that career field and what the salary is going to be once they get out and determine, is this really what I want to do? So it's very helpful in just a number of ways. It also allows them to track their academic progress. Their individual graduation plans are housed on the site. We also have a wonderful new feature that we call the TOPS Progress Tracker. If they are interested in pursuing a TOPS award, they can keep track of their progress toward earning it throughout their high school years.
Now, you mentioned earlier that they can start, what, did you say, was it 8th grade?
Yes,
That they
ma'am.
can start to track now what are they looking for in the 8th grade? If they have already developed their what is it, their website upon the website?
Yeah, that's basically what it is, because
Uh-huh.
they can store all of their information, all their test scores, all their college applications, all of their letters of recommendation, their club activities, all the things that they're going to want to pull together to submit with their college application to be evaluated for admission. They can store all of that in the portal, and it's all in one place. It's in a neat package. It's almost like having a shoebox.
And Gus, I wanted to ask you more about children starting to use the portal, because that seems to be a great way to get the child's attention early and they can follow it through. And so you suggest that they start 8th grade
Yes, ma'am.
and they flow that through from that point on, and they're keeping up with all of their records, and they're taking that all the way up to the 12th grade.
That's correct. And we also allow parents to create accounts so they can track their students' information as well.
Okay.
And all the account activation instructions are on the website, so they can just go to louisianaconnect.org and it will tell them what to do
Okay.
to create their account.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. This is some very much needed information.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Enjoyed it.
All right.
Enjoyed
And
it.
now we're going to take a break. And welcome back to Let's Talk About It. My guest is Deborah Paul. Deborah is Director of Scholarship Grant Division at the Louisiana Office of Student Financial Assistance. Welcome.
Thanks, Bobby.
Okay, it's so good to have you.
You're welcome.
And you have a very challenging job.
Yes, as Director of Scholarships and Grant, we provide information in conjunction with the Public Information and Communication Division on the programs that are available. You know,
Okay.
we strive to go with our mission to promote and provide college access.
Okay, well, that is something that we definitely need. and it's great to know the great job that LASFA does. So let's start off talking about what you do and the information that you'd like to share with our audience.
Well, LASFA provides a variety of scholarship and grant programs for students who are pursuing post-secondary education, and that can be anywhere from a technical college, community college, or a four-year public or private institution.
Okay, Deborah, let's talk about that part. So we know that students who are going to a technical college can also get funding.
Yes. When you
I think
talk-
a lot of the students don't know that.
Right, they have a variety of different programs. We can start by talking with the federal programs, which provides grants and loans to students attending school. And then with the scholarship side, a student can receive a TOPS award or use their TOPS award to pursue a technical degree program or an academic program. It just depends on what their program of study is.
Okay, and what kind of scores are we talking about?
For the TOPS Opportunity Award, the minimum score is an ACT of 20. The technical colleges, they can get in with at least a 17 on the ACT, and that's the current scores. Every year at the end of August, we get the state mandated score for TOPS. The score for the TOPS Opportunity Award can never go below 20. Depending on what the previous year students did on the test will determine the score for the 2014 high school graduates. So we don't have that score just yet.
Okay, so let's say that we have students right now who are looking to go into the technical college. And when is that just a community college, or does that include any technical college? And I'm trying to get an idea of what is included in technical.
For instance, a technical program would be what you consider vocational trade,
Okay.
licensed practical nurse is technical, welding, plumbing, electrician, those are all technical programs in nature. Students who are pursuing an associate degree in applied science, that's considered technical in nature. So you have academic programs and technical programs. A student who gets the TOPS Opportunity Award can decide to pursue an academic degree at, say, a traditional four-year school, or they can opt for a technical training program. Depends,
Okay.
but students who are awarded the TOPS Tech Award, which is specified just for technical programs, have to pursue that degree in order to use their TOPS award.
Now let me ask you, let's say that at the end of that 2-year period, that they decide that they want to go on to a 4-year institution. Is that available to them?
They can pursue that, but if they were awarded just the TOPS Tech Award, they wouldn't have funding for additional education beyond the technical program. But certainly, you have programs now that are called stackable credentials, where a student could start off with a certificate or diploma program and then earn their associate's degree and then bachelor's degree. For an example, construction management at LSU is an example. Student can get a certificate program in there, then an associate's degree, then a bachelor's degree. Depends on what programs they're eligible for with TOPS. They may or may not be able to get funded throughout. But then on the other hand, you have federal programs like Pell Grants, and we also have the state-funded Go Grant that could supplement a student's assistance for college.
Okay, now, so they started off needing at least a 17 for technical.
Yes.
Okay, so how does that progress for other students who are looking to go into a 4-year university? What determines, I know those scores tend to keep going up from a 17, a 19, and a 20. Tell me what that all means.
Well, with the 20, you need that for the Opportunity Award. The state requires that you have no less than a 20 for the TOPS award, Opportunity
Okay, so
Award.
we basically go from, and that's with the
That's for an academic program, the 20.
2014.
It's going to be minimum. We don't have the exact score yet, but in the last, 10 years, it's always been a 20. So it can never go lower than 20. But just for example, if the previous year students scored higher on the ACT, we may have to round up to say a 21. But in the history of the program, it's always been a 20 for the Opportunity Award. And that's the 2.5 on the TOPS core curriculum. Now, students who have higher academic achievements are eligible for more assistance from the program. The Performance Award is for students who have at least a 23 on the ACT score and a
Okay.
3.0 grade point average on the TOPS curriculum. If they're eligible for a Performance Award, they get an additional stipend, which is $200 per semester in addition to the tuition payment.
Okay, now, does
And
the
then there's still
tuition
another
payment
one.
change depending upon the university that they are going to attend?
We pay for tuition. Every year in the last few years, schools have been increasing their tuition. TOPS pays tuition.
All
Uh,
of it?
it pays a tuition amount. Now, let's understand that when a student enrolls in college, there are tuition and fees. So some fees that are associated with enrolling in an institution are not covered by TOPS because TOPS pays tuition. So,
I see.
schools may have a technology fee or a fee for athletic events or a yearbook fee. Those fees are not covered by TOPS. TOPS covers the tuition amount. So when tuition increases, the TOPS has been able to keep up with those tuition increases.
Okay, but those other fees are not covered.
Right, and it's important for parents to know that, but there are other programs that can assist with that by students filling out the free application for federal student aid, which is the FAFSA. One more program I wanted to mention, which is another component of TOPS, is the Honors Award. These are for our higher achieving students in Louisiana, those students who score at least a 27 on the ACT and have a 3.0 grade point average. They can get the tuition amount plus an additional $400 per semester added on to their stipend amount for TOPS.
Okay, that might help to pay some of those fees, huh?
Exactly, or they
Yeah.
can use it for books also.
Okay,
Any school-related
uh-huh.
costs, those costs can be directed to that.
Okay. Now, if that student is in one of those categories, but also gets a scholarship, does it in any way allay what they would get from TOPS if they are getting additional funding?
Well, every student that attends school and fills out the FAFSA, the free
Uh-huh.
application, the school gives them what's called a cost of attendance. Now, with your cost of attendance, that's what they have determined that it's going to cost you to go to a particular institution. So the school will look at what assistance you're receiving, whether it be from TOPS, Pell Grant, the Gold Grant, student loans, or other scholarship programs. So when you look at the entire picture, a student cannot receive more than what it costs to go to that school. So if a student has a specified cost of attendance, the school is going to look at their grants first, which is free money, no repayment required. They'll also look at the TOPS award and maybe other scholarships. So in that event, a student may have all of their financial need met with scholarships and grants and not have to look at borrowing money or outside parent resources to help pay for those costs.
Oh, okay. So in essence, if they were to get additional scholarships from other sources, it would not defer what they're going to get or deter what they would get from
In
LAFSA.
most cases, it will not.
Okay.
And the schools work very closely with students on their financial aid package. You have some scholarships that pay more than others. So the school looks at what the student has. We do have some students who may get big scholarships from other sources, and they don't need their TOPS. In that
Okay, we're
instance,
going to have you to hold that point.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to take a little break here, and we'll be back with you in just one moment. And welcome back to Let's Talk About It. My guest, Deborah Paul. And Deborah is the Director of Scholarship Grant Division. And Deborah, we wanted to talk about the difference in the number of required courses that are required now for the TOP grant.
for TOPS, students who are graduating in 2014 will need 19 core courses, which is up previously from 17.5. The curriculum basically adds another math course, so a student would need 4 years of English, 4 years of science, 4 years of English, 4 years of math, the 3 years of science, and we've added another social studies program course to that curriculum, and we've eliminated the computer science. So there's 19 core units. It's still 2 years of foreign language in the same language.
Okay.
So all of those courses remain the same, but we've added another social studies course and another math course, which
Okay.
helps better prepare students for college.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, and tell me, are there any particular, let's say, adjustments that are made for students who are ADD or ADHD?
The ACT score is set in the statute for TOPS. However, students who do have disabilities or exceptionalities, They can ask for extended test taking time through ACT. For instance, students who may have anxiety or ADHD, if they have an IEP on file, individual education plan on file at the high school, they can maybe get approved for additional test taking time, which would help relieve some of those anxieties or disabilities that those students have.
Okay.
But those students are still required to make the same score, but there are provisions to help them with additional test taking time. Some students who may have maybe vision problems can get a reader that would help them with the tests and so forth. So there are accommodations that are available for students through their school counselor if they have a diagnosed disability.
And this requirement or this request has been made prior to their coming to take the test.
Exactly. Most of those students have accommodations already in place at the high school, so they should work with their high school counselor when they're registering for the ACT test to make sure that they have they're going to the appropriate testing site that can accommodate whatever their disability is.
Okay, do you have anything else you'd like to share with our listening audience and our our viewers today?
Well, students should visit our website, which is www.osfa.la.gov, to see and view all the programs that are available, because we do have need-based programs like the Gold Grant, which helps students who have Pell Grant eligibility get additional funding to help them go to college. Then we also have a program for high school students called TOPS Tech Early Start, where students can earn high school credit in a top demand occupation. We also have a program called the Chafee Education and Training Voucher for those students who are in the foster care system. It provides up to a $5,000 a year grant to help those students seek post-secondary education and training after they leave the foster care system. So we have a wealth of information. Students can also get information on scholarship searches. We also have sites for all of the Louisiana colleges and universities, so they can figure out what school is offering what the costs are, so they can do their own comparisons when they're looking at narrowing down their list of where I want to go to college.
Okay, well, you're a wealth of information,
Thank
I
you.
think this will be so helpful to our viewers when they're looking at how they are going to be able to assist their children in going to college.
Well, we hope it does.
Okay, well, thank you so very much. And to our listening audience and to our viewers, we want to tell you to please stay tuned. We have coming up next Craig Gehring, who made a perfect score on the ACT and the SAT. And I know you would want to know how he did it and what kinds of suggestions he has for helping you to make those scores. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Let's Talk About It. My guest for the next 30 minutes is Craig Gehring. And Craig is the author of the ACT Mastery Series as well as SAT, ACT. And so, Craig, we are here to talk about the ACT. Our previous guests were from LASFA, and they were talking about the monies that were available. So let's talk some more about that and how your program will help them or help students to get those funds that LASFA has.
Well, sure, and thank you for having me on your show.
You're
I
quite
appreciate
welcome.
it. ACT is a major stumbling block for a lot of students. ACT measures your students' college readiness on a scale from 1, meaning totally not ready, to 36, completely ready for college. And so for a lot of students, they might have the grade point average that TOPS requires, but they still have to reach that 20 on the ACT in order to be eligible for TOPS.
And we're finding that a lot, that the students have the great GPAs, the grade point average, but they're not able to get those high scores on the ACT. Why is that?
Well, and that's a bit of a shocker for parents because they say, oh, my kid's got a high grade point average. Of course, they'll do well on the ACT. And then when they actually take the test, they fall short. Grade point average is measuring what your student knows on the short term and the midterm. Usually a student learns something in class and gets tested on it a week later, a month later, at the most 3 or 4 months later.
Okay.
But the ACT is measuring everything the student learned from middle school all the way up through their senior year in high school.
And they can't remember all of that, can they?
No, it's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough, and sometimes it checks the questions and they're a little more difficult than what they're used to in the classroom. And so we have to work with the students to help them not only get familiar with the test format, but be ready for the content.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. And because basically what we're finding so often is that parents are disappointed when they see that their children are not making those scores on the ACT when they have already done so well on the GPA. So now we need to blend both of those so that the students are able to, what I like to suggest is to get more of the monies that are available through TOPS and scholarships and less on student loans.
Absolutely, because the student loans can start to become very crushing for students. The student nowadays that graduates, if they did it on student loans, they might have a house note basically in student loan payments they have
Yes.
to make.
Yes.
And it gets worse for a student who, because of their student debt, might not even be able to finish college. So they've got a huge student debt and they don't even have a degree.
Yeah.
So when we're helping a student improve their ACT score through the ACT Mastery Program, it's very rewarding as a job, because you're talking about students who, once they get that scholarship money, it's much more likely they can finish college than they can finish it debt-free. So they've got their whole lives ahead of them.
It makes such a difference. I happen to know a young lady whose son just graduated from high school. She is still paying off her student loans and her son, so she made it a point to have the monies so that he was not getting into the situation that she finds herself in. Lord, can you imagine that? He's graduated from high school and she's still paying off her student loans.
It's wild.
Yeah.
We call it the $1 million point. The difference between a 19 in Louisiana and a 20 is that TOPS pays for your entire tuition, and then you're more likely to get the degree that you're going for. And then once you get that degree, it's been proven that people who hold a college degree earn over $1 million more over the course of their lifetimes compared to someone who doesn't have a degree. So
That's
that can make
serious.
that can make a huge difference. So what we're trying to do is take those students who are on that threshold, they're on that 17, 18, 19, and get them up to that 20 so that they can get the college scholarship eligibility.
Okay, so tell me, how are you doing this?
Okay, well, we found early on, I started tutoring ACT 10 years ago when I got my perfect scores on the ACT and SAT. And parents started calling in asking me to tutor their kids. They were all short of TOPS. They needed TOPS, and they said, basically, whatever it takes, Craig, just get my kid TOPS eligible. And I found that these students had already done an ACT prep program in the main, and it wasn't working. They weren't getting the gains they needed, and it was mainly because it was going over their heads. It was
Okay.
just way too much information, way too fast. So what we do is we work on the basics. We work on the things that are most teachable, that they're most likely to be missing, and we just go over it again and again until the students really have it down.
It's drilled.
Absolutely. And our students, they make an average 3-point gain. Our program is 92% effective, and we have basically everything that a student needs who's on that threshold of being able to get a scholarship to get the score that they need.
Okay, so your program is in some schools, and you also have it online, and also do camps.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about those.
Absolutely.
Okay, you want to start with the in-school?
Yes, absolutely. So last school year, we had the privilege of working with students in Donaldsonville High School and Southern Lab, and we got great results. We were very excited about the results that we obtained with those students. And this coming year, we're working in a broad range of schools, both in Louisiana and Mississippi. It looks like several dozen schools are going to be using our program, and we're very excited about that. In this program, basically, the students either get to take the course as a one-semester course, or the school might be implementing the program throughout the school year as an intervention. And the students receive our workbooks, one in each subject area: math, English, reading, and science.
Okay.
And it's everything that students need to improve their proficiency in these areas. We're really excited about it because, both at Donaldsonville and Southern Lab, we had students that moved up into a TOPS eligible range, and we're very excited about the prospect of being able to help many, many more students reach scholarship level now that we're working with those schools.
Well, that's beautiful. That's a nice growth from last year and this year.
Absolutely. Well, we were able through a pilot program to show that we were able to get similar results in an in-school setting, and so moving forward, we definitely have we're looking forward to partnering with more schools.
So how does that compare with national companies?
There was a survey done studying hundreds of thousands of students who went through college admissions, and they found that the average improvement of a student going through an ACT prep program is less than 1 point. So our program gets students an average of 2 to 3 point improvement. We're well above the national average, and that corresponds to the students moving up over 15 to 20% of their peers. In some cases, students answered and got correct twice as many questions as they were getting before.
Oh, okay. Now we've got to take a short break, and we will be back in just a moment with Let's Talk About It. Welcome back to Let's Talk About It. Our guest, Craig Gehring, who made a perfect score on the ACT and the SAT. Welcome back, Craig.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. So we're going to talk now about ACT prep camps
Okay.
and how effective they are and what that offers to students.
Great.
Okay?
So ACT Prep Camp is using the ACT Mastery curriculum in a boot camp kind of setting. And this camp has been running in Baton Rouge since last year. It's a wonderful program. And what it consists of is a 6-Saturday program. So your child comes for about 5 hours a Saturday for 6 Saturdays straight. And we've seen an average gain of 3 points with the students attending the program. We've had many students getting into their college of choice after attending the program, many students attaining TOPS eligibility. On average, our students, about 20-something% of them are at a TOPS eligible level when they start the ACT Prep Camp, and they reach a 75% of them are at a TOPS eligible level by the time the ACT Prep Camp is done. So we have a lot of success in that setting, helping students get to TOPS and helping students improve their scores overall.
Okay, would you explain that 20% again? You say they come in already TOPS ready?
Oh yeah, about 20% of students who start the program are TOPS ready. So 80% of them aren't.
Okay.
So there's some students who come in, they already have TOPS, so they're trying to reach a higher ACT score either for college eligibility or to get more scholarship money. But the bulk of the students aren't TOPS eligible.
Okay.
And more than half of those students who aren't TOPS eligible were able to get to a TOPS eligible level by the end of our 6-week program. Some students make as many as a 7-point gain.
Oh,
In the
that's
program.
serious.
Oh, it is. And, some of those students, maybe they knew the content, but they didn't know the test-taking strategies. Some of the students who've already gone through an ACT program and know some of the test-taking strategies need more help on the content. And ACT Prep Camp's able to help with that as well.
One thing I found that was very interesting is in the science part of the ACT, where you would expect science questions, what you're looking at is mostly graphs.
Yes. So a student is really tested on their ability to read infographics and interpret scientific information.
Okay.
Basically, the ACT is seeing whether or not the student would be a good scientist. It's not measuring whether or not the student knows a lot of science.
Oh.
Instead, it's seeing whether the student can reason scientifically, knows the scientific method. Basically, as long as a student understands their 8th grade science, the scientific method, that sort of thing, they can do great on the ACT. So we really have to hone in on that. You could spend hundreds of hours studying science, prepping for the ACT, and if you didn't know that, all that time would be wasted.
Yes.
And so the ACT Mastery Program, as used in the Saturday ACT prep camps, laser targets in on exactly what the students need to know in science. We've had students who just use our science workbook move up 10 points on the ACT science test. Now that's not a typical result. We
Yes.
average a 3-point gain, but some students, they just are not prepared for the test format, and so that causes them to be thrown off quite a bit.
I can see where that would happen. It's not that they don't know the material, it's just that they did not know what to study for.
Absolutely. And the ACT Prep Camp website, which is actprepcamp.com, covers a lot of that information about the different ins and outs of the different test subjects and has information as well on when the next Saturday camp is coming up.
Okay. And so, would you recommend the ACT prep camps to parents?
Absolutely, wholeheartedly. And the teachers that are there have been doing this for quite some time now and repeatedly gotten results using the program. The program is very unique because they give the students a full set of our ACT Mastery workbooks to work through. So the student gets about between the workbooks they work in at home and the content they work with the teachers and the practice tests, they get over 70 hours of instruction. So this is a serious thing where if you want a sure bet on improving your student score, putting them through a program like this is a must.
And what grade levels are we talking about? Is there any specific age that should not be taking the ACT?
Well, that's a great question. Students, typically we're seeing students attend from the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grades. However, there are some students who are, particularly students who are trying to compete in the future to get into the college of choice, that they, maybe they say they want to go into a medical career or something that really relies on that ACT score. They're starting in 8th grade, 7th grade, or even 6th grade,
Yes.
trying to get ready for the ACT.
And so by them starting earlier, let's say a 6th grader taking the prep camp, how does that affect their confidence level and how they might do in the end when that score really counts?
That's a great question. ACT has found that the biggest predictor of the student's ACT score is actually their middle school performance.
Oh, really?
Yes. So if you want to change their score, if you want to help your child be in control of their ACT destiny, so to speak, it helps to start early. Now, some of the concepts that are covered on the ACT, the student won't be familiar with, but it's better to start early, get them familiar with everything,
Yes.
and get them moving along. Things like reading level are very hard to change in the final hour. It's better to start working on those at the beginning, as early as you can, so that your student's ready, so you're not behind the 8 ball, so to speak, and so that you can actually, have enough time to help your student prepare.
How about vocabulary? It would seem that would be so important in making a good score on the ACT.
Absolutely. Actually, our ACT Mastery Reading Workbook is dedicated wholly to vocabulary and
Okay.
helping the students boost their vocabulary skills. Vocabulary determines reading level. If you want your student to do stellar on the ACT, they need to have a college reading level. And to get a college
Okay.
reading level, they've got to have that vocabulary down.
So you're saying they need to be at the college reading level to really score well on the reading part.
Absolutely. And that's tricky because usually the students are taking this in 11th grade.
Yes.
So you have to do everything that you can to get your child ahead in reading level, improve the quantity of reading, and get them using a dictionary while they read. Those two things can actually make a huge difference on their reading level. The last thing you want is an 11th grader reading at a 9th grade reading level or worse,
Yes.
trying to take the ACT. They'll just get slaughtered in not only the ACT reading section, but on the science and English as well.
Okay. Now we're going to take a break here, and we will be right back with Craig Gehring with Let's Talk About It. And welcome back to our final segment of Let's Talk About It with Craig Gehring, our guest who made perfect score on the ACT and the SAT. Now, Craig, we've talked about ACT in the schools, and we've talked about the ACT prep camps, and now we're going to talk about ACT online. So tell me about that.
Well, there's a company called Bench Prep, and they're the leading ACT prep provider for online. They're the leading test prep app provider. And they selected our program. They conducted a national search for a curriculum, and they selected ACT Mastery, which is our ACT prep curriculum, as their flagship ACT prep product. So,
Well, congratulations.
thank you. So we were really excited about that, being able
that's
to
beautiful.
have that coming out of Baton Rouge. And so they converted our entire program into an online program. I recorded a series of videos, about 4 DVDs worth of videos, where I'm basically personally walking the student through everything they need to know for the ACT. And that program is available now. So students can actually, in the comfort of their own home, on their iPhone, their iPad, their Kindle, their computer, their laptop, they can actually go through the entire ACT Mastery program and get all the benefits thereby.
Well,
And
that's awesome.
yeah, we're really excited to be able to offer it.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of information about the program available at actmastery.org. And you just
That's
click the
actmastery.org.
you got it, and you just
Okay.
click the tab that says online courses, and you can see they took all of our workbooks, the math, the science, the reading, the English, it's all combined into one course. It's actually 5 courses in one. And so the student gets the benefit as though they got all 5 books plus the SAT, ACT Mastery book, and all of the videos that we recorded, in 5 practice tests, all in one comprehensive course.
It's all online.
All online.
So when they go to the website, actmastery.com,
.org.
they don't need to purchase the workbooks. It's all online.
Exactly.
Okay.
You got it.
Now, what's been the response to the online program?
The response has been overwhelming, not only in Louisiana, but there's been many schools and districts that are interested in the program across the U.S.
Okay.
That are wanting to learn more about the online program and get involved. Our again, our program is tailor-made for students who are on the bubble. They're on the threshold. They're scoring under a 23. They really need some assistance to be able to start reaching toward their college dreams, and the ACT Mastery program is able to help them.
Oh, great, great. Okay, well, that all sounds really good. So, what would you like to leave the audience with?
Well, it helps. Some parents who are watching this, they're under the gun. They're dealing with a senior who's close to the point of no return. They've got to get that ACT score up. Anything you can get your student involved in that they're excited about in terms of ACT prep, start working on it. But some parents might be listening to this and they've got a student in middle school. And really what I recommend to you is learn more about the ACT. There's a book I wrote specifically for middle schoolers called SAT ACT Mastery, which is available at Barnes & Noble. I really recommend they pick it up. And then help your student read more, get more involved in their education, get more involved. If they want to do well in the ACT, they've got to outperform other students that they're competing against for those scholarships and entrance in college. So anything you can get your student to do to try to excel is going to help them in the long run.
Okay, beautiful. Well, it's been great having you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and congratulations on all your good works. And we know that it's making a difference. So we're signing off here. This is Let's Talk About It with Bobby Clark. And we will be seeing you again. Stay tuned.
Executive producer Brian Herzog. Presents Bobby Clark. Education, current events, and topics that affect you. Let's talk about it with Bobby Clark.